My name is Dr. Gail Dines. I'm a professor of sociology and women's studies at Wheelock College, and I'm also founder and president of Culture Reframed, which is a non-profit that defines pornography as the public health crisis of the digital age. You know, I lecture all over the world. I lecture in colleges. What you see in the beginning is that the men, the hostility is literally coming off them. You can feel it. They're bristling with hostility towards me because they're obviously thinking, you know, what does this middle-aged feminist know about my life and about pornography? And then I start to talk, and you see their body, literally, you see their bodies change. You see the hostility kind of seep out of them because nobody before has ever explained to them what pornography does. And they are hungry for this. And at the end, they are lining up, some of them in tears, begging for help to get off pornography. Now, the problem is that pornography is a kind of stealth public health crisis. I think a lot of people, especially over the age of 35, do not understand the world of young people. They do not understand what it means to grow up in a society saturated by pornography. I mean, when you look back at our sort of father's generation, or even my generation, how did boys get to pornography? They found their father's Playboy, Penthouse, and they had limited access to pornography. Now, that was sexist and bad enough as it was, but really, you look back at that today with a kind of nostalgia, because today what happens is when they put porn into Google, they get catapulted into a world of sexual violence, degradation, dehumanization. They get catapulted into a world that I think for many, they had no idea this is what they were going to get into. And I think it traumatizes them. I think it really has a terrible impact on the way they think about themselves, the way they think about sexuality, intimacy, and connection. And really, you know, when you think about what sex is about, we call it making love. In porn, it's actually making hate. He makes hate to her. All the emotions that one links to hate, you know, degradation, fear, violence, disgust, all of those things are what he shows towards her. So this is the introduction into the world of sex of the young boy. And so when we think about effects, when it affects the boys, then it affects the girls. And the reason for that is that the boys think the girls are going to behave like the girls and the women in pornography. And so pornography really sets you up for disappointment. Now, people who often criticize pornography are called anti-sex, to which I would argue that if you want to be pro-sex, you have to be anti-porn. You can't be pro-porn and pro-sex. You have to pick one. And I think those of us who are against pornography are against pornography because we can't stand what it does to sex. We can't stand to see the way in which it reduces sex to an industrial toxic product, which is exactly what pornography does. The free porn sites were designed as a way to get young boys into pornography. So by the time they get their credit card, they're addicted and they're using it and using it. It's a perfect business model. And I don't know what kind of adult men these boys are going to grow up into because we have robbed them of so much by introducing them to pornography at such an early age. We have allowed the pornographers to come in and to hijack our kids' sexuality into a sexuality that is predatory, that is violent, that is disconnected, and that reduces humans to just basically sex objects, men and women. So this is why pornography is a public health crisis. It goes from the individual and radiates out to families, communities, to the culture. That is why we have to be bold, we have to be courageous, and we have to make a stand and say, not on our watch are you going to hijack our children's sexuality.